All right, welcome everybody to Enhancing the Accountant Bookkeeper Connection series featuring my friend and my accountant and my collaborator, Jonathan Carter from Cata Accounting. Most of you guys probably know me. I am Tanya Hiltz. I have a few letters after my name. Most importantly, I am a certified professional bookkeeper. I'm here because I am passionate about collaboration. You can find me at Tanya's Bootcamp, pretty much anywhere other than Twitter. Um, there is a little bit about myself and some industry designations, accolades, and some business accolades. I'm not going to go through all of them. The most important ones that are exciting to me were, of course, we were Intuit's Global Firm of the Future winner, and we broke the contest. I like to say that, so we're the reigning champs. And CPB Canada, I'm a past director and treasurer and a current committee member. I'm a volunteer mentor and on the Ethics and Discipline Committee for CPB Canada, so still highly involved. I love this quote, and this is so relevant to today's topic. Never get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. And that's Dolly Parton. And that leads beautifully right into today's topic that Jonathan will start covering. So this webinar does qualify for CPD credits through CPB Canada. You will receive your certification that does say that it meets all qualifications. So it may meet qualifications anywhere else. Absolutely. There are two polls that must be answered in order to qualify. You will not receive a certificate if you do not answer both polls. You do not have to answer them correct. There is no right or wrong answer. You just need to answer them. Your CPD credits will be emailed by tomorrow. I am no longer sending a copy of the recording with it, so I can get it sent out right away. The recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel so that you can access it for there. And of course, keep the certificate handy for future. Any requests after 14 days to resend will be subject to an administrative fee. So keep them, and that's great. If you do not receive it, you need to be properly on our list to receive it. So check spam first if you don't get it within 2 days. If it's not there, you can resubscribe because that means you may have unsubscribed. So there's the instructions to resubscribe. If you have any issues, reach out to me, email me at bootcamp@mycbs.ca or support@mycbs.ca. So here's Jonathan. He's the founder and principal accountant of Cata Accounting Solutions. We have been collaborating with Jonathan and his team for, I think we figured out that we're a decade now. We have multiple mutual clients. What I love about them is they actually work in QBO. They do bookkeeping as well, so they understand the nuances of QBO and the accounting software that some other accountants don't, such as getting a journal entry just to make an adjustment to the AP or the AR does not work in QuickBooks, right? Or QuickBooks Desktop. It didn't work in desktop either. It might work from a high-end ledger, but not in the detail. So that's one thing that's great about their team. We don't have to worry about that. They have attention to detail and outstanding customer service, which is why ever since I incorporated, Jonathan has been my accountant and will continue to be so.
Thank you.
And so, Jonathan, I'm going to stop screen sharing and let you take it away.
Sounds good. Okay, so um, just a reminder, if I am looking up, I'm looking at you lovely folk. If I'm looking straight ahead, then I am looking at the presentation and going through. So let's start sharing. All right. So today we're talking about finding balance. What is work-life balance? Navigating it. I thought a good alternative title for this would be Why I'm a Complete Hypocrite. But that's just my own thoughts. And in reality, I think I do pretty good compared to a lot of accounting firm owners and bookkeeping firm owners. We'll talk about this more as we get into it. So who am I? I'm the founder of Cat Accounting Solutions. Our biggest feather in the cap is 2023 Firm of the Year from CPB. I was top 100 Pro Advisor for 2021, 2, and 3, top 50 International for 24 and 25. And I was a member of the inaugural Intuit Accountants Council, and I've had a long-standing relationship with Intuit. I was also the recipient of the Inspire Accountant Award. I'm an Elite Pro Advisor. Our firm is Elite Pro Advisors. I'm QBO Advanced certified as well as most of the team. often considered a thought leader, and I am very, very proud to be a trusted advisor and accountant for several bookkeeping firms. That's probably the thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that we are actually collaborating and there's not the adversarial relationship that's very traditional. As you can see, I've updated my slides. If you've been to one of these presentations before, I've updated my slides. Just quickly through today's agenda, we're going to talk about defining what balance is. This is different for everybody. Setting your priorities. I think this is the most important takeaway from today's session. We're going to talk about the four quadrants of holistic health to a degree. We're going to look at some subjective scenarios and have hopefully an interactive discussion and talk about some strategies for sustainable equilibrium. And then hopefully we can have a really interactive discussion today. So let's start with our first poll question. Which of these work-life scenarios feels the most successful to you? Working 50 hours a week, but having total flexibility to attend family events. Working a strict 9 to 5 with complete digital disconnect after hours.
It popped. Oh, there it goes.
Integrating, oh, we're on poll two.
Wrong poll, Tonya.
All right, that's okay.
So I was just gonna say that first one, it always has to because in order to allow the panelists to vote,
Yeah.
I have to launch it, take it back, make an edit, and relaunch it. So that first one will always be. Sorry.
No, but you have poll 2 up instead of poll 1.
Oh,
Like the
poll
answer to
two.
that.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. It's the wrong
So
order. Okay, I'll do the right poll. Keep talking,
all
Jonathan.
right. So C was integrating work and life seamlessly. I think this is something we all kind of fall into. That's answering emails while traveling or while attending a family event or, sitting on the sofa and relaxing, watching some TV after hours. Or maximizing income now to retire early, even if balance is low today. Again, 100% subjective. There is no correct answer. And all of these are a little bit off in one way or the other. So it's an interesting idea. I'm curious to see what people's opinions are because it's an
So
opinion, not a fact.
I can't vote as the person who's hosting this, but I'm just going to throw in I'm a little of A, a little of C, a little of D.
Yep.
I am zero B. I do not have those. I cannot shut off a full digital disconnect. But I don't start at 9.
Yep.
I don't sleep well, so I don't even my alarm goes off, 3 days out of the week, my alarm goes off at 9:30. So all right. So we don't have everybody. We've got 80%. We're still waiting for two more people. So we'll do a quick countdown. Again, doesn't have to be right. Just have to vote. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We will end the poll and we will share the results.
A lot of people are in that boat, integrating work and life seamlessly. Yep, I figured that was. Um, Interesting. Very, very interesting.
And
So
good for the person who can do a strict 9 to 5.
yeah,
But
well
I
done.
think as I was looking at this morning, excuse me, I think the one thing that really hit me is that even before COVID, we were lucky. And I think that's why a lot of us ended up going into this and going, remote in the cloud so that we could have the flexibility to do whatever we need to do. And as life changes, that changes, but it's so good. I am completely unemployable because I would never want to go into a 9 to 5 again. I
Fair.
want to be like I started this that I could volunteer with my daughter's school, just like many of us. So, and then since COVID, that is now become fully acceptable by even those people that didn't feel that it was acceptable before, right? So,
It's kind of getting walked back in a lot of areas though. Like I have a friend of mine who is terminated by a municipality because it's a really bad situation. So he was hired under the understanding that he would be work from home 4 days a week. It was part of his employment agreement. And then
oh,
they mandated coming back to the office. And it just so happened he got a concussion the Sunday they were supposed to go back. And he missed the first 3 days and then was back subsequently every day after that, but they still use that as an excuse to terminate him, despite it being part of his employment agreement. So now
I
he's
would say that's
lost.
an ESA call for sure.
Oh, he's yeah. There's employment lawyers involved, and
Good.
yeah, it's like I'm sorry, but if that's part of your employment agreement,
Yep.
you need
He
to
would
get
have
an
had to
amended
sign a new
employment agreement.
agreement.
Yeah, exactly.
And they would have had to pay him out for that. That's why I keep telling my husband, Kellogg's has actually been bought out by Ferrero Rocher, and they're all freaking out over there about the change in plans and wages and everything. I'm like, just don't sign anything, and they can't change it. They can't make it worse.
Yep.
Bring everything home for me to review. So anyway,
So when I was going through this presentation, I mean, my life has changed drastically in the last 2.5, well, let's call it 3 years. Um, One thing about this, I think balance is different for everybody. It's an absolutely subjective thing. So recognizing that there's a season to things like, tax season, for instance, you're going to work, if you do tax, you're going to be busier. You're going to be working harder. If you have clients who are self-employed, you're going to be working harder for them, even if you don't do tax, right? Preparing your ends for those corporate clients, things along those lines. And then there's going to be other times where other things need to take priority, like family events or health. And health is the
baby.
top thing. Having children, absolutely. So it's really important to understand that one person's balance can be another person's burnout.
Mhm.
So my opinion, and this is strictly my opinion, is balance to me is the ability to be present and in the moment with whatever I'm doing at that time. So if I'm playing with my son James, I'm playing with my son James. That's where my brain is. I'm not thinking about emails or what tax return I have to do next or anything like that. And I have some strategies that I'd be happy to share about how I make myself be able to be present in those situations. But before we get to that, I just kind of wanted to get other people's opinions about what does balance mean to you. So would
So
anybody like to
yeah,
volunteer?
I was gonna say for me, balance just meant that I could I could have my cake and eat it too, right? Sometimes the cake might not have the frosting as sweet as I like it, but to be able to make those decisions. So when I started, I actually worked more evenings and weekends so that I could be available to volunteer in my daughter's school and to pick her up and drop her off. So I kind of did like a split shift. Right? An old-fashioned split shift. And so I would explain to my clients, which is crazy, that my clients end up changing because at that point, my value proposition to them was, hey, when you're working on your books after hours, that's when I'm available. So that ended up changing. Some of them changed with me, some of them didn't. And that's okay. But yeah, so that's to me. Carol, you've got your hand up.
Oh, I was just going to say pretty much the same thing. The reason why I started my bookkeeping business 28 years ago was because we had our son coming into the world, and I worked in the corporate world in Vancouver, and I took the West Coast Express. And I left at 5:30 in the morning, and I got home at 5:30 at night. I would, bath him, change him, put him to bed, feed him, and put him to bed. And I had zero time with him. So yeah, it was like, okay, I don't want to keep working in Vancouver. So what am I going to do? Oh, well, I love
You
doing
did.
bookkeeping. My girlfriends
You
were already doing it, so figured out how to do it. And, you know,
I'm gonna say you didn't watch the same Oprah show that I watched. I
oh,
watched Oprah with nanny cams, all the nanny cam horror stories out of the US. And my husband came home and I was just holding her crying at 6 months old. I was bawling. And I'm like, I can't go back to work. I can't go back to work. So I already knew taxes. So that's when he's like, okay, do this. I'm like, the worst of the worst is gonna happen if I put her in daycare. So
well, and for me, I was very like extremely fortunate that I ended up getting back in contact with one of my mom's best friends that because both my parents were gone. We didn't have anybody. But yeah, and so she was Bradley's nanny for well, from 6 months till he turned 5 years old because in that time we moved. And so where we did live, she was really close and she walked him to preschool. But then once he started kindergarten, when we moved, she didn't drive, so she couldn't take him. So that was my then. Now I have a 5-year plan. I got to be fully independent, working from home 100% of the time with clients enough that I can take him to school myself. So yeah, and it is that work-life balance to make things work. And so far, still working.
Good. Would anyone else like to share their thoughts?
I will kind of.
Please.
I guess for me, what sort of I consider balance for me is like, um, the, sorry, I'm a little bit emotional today. So is like if something comes up that's important with my family that I can have that flexibility to go and be with them and help them. And so that's what drew me to having this remote life. It hasn't quite worked out the way I hoped, unfortunately, and I don't know if that is just because I had a utopia vision of what it would be like to do this work. Um, but I also like I think another part of the balance for me is definitely um making sure I have downtime at least one day a week because that was something I was finding. I was getting sucked into doing stuff every day and at least one day a week I want to take a break. If not two. Two would be ideal. So that's sort of been my balance that I've been focusing on now is trying to have 2 days a week where I get to do what I want to do.
You brought to mind a really one of my favorite quotes. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, Muhammad Ali. Right? It's like we have this plan. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna like just take every weekend off. I'm never gonna work on the weekend. And yeah, how many people actually have that happen in reality? Who are
Right. True.
um
You're muted.
Thank you. I
who?
was going to say, I go like life
Oh.
is what happens when you're busy making other plans, but I like Muhammad Ali's one. That's a little more direct. But you know what I'd like to do? I would like to call on Sandra. She's like, what? Because Sandra
Put
comes
her
at
on
it.
the spot.
Most of us, I think everybody else on this call, we're owners. Sandra's an employee who has gone from a corporate employee status over to here, to this. And, so I'd like to hear her opinion so that we on here can hear what it's like from our team members as well. Sorry, Sandra, but
No, it's okay. I kind of did have some thoughts, and yes, in a corporate world, I definitely didn't have the freedom to like take Rachel to her G2 test yesterday, right? And stuff like that. Like if I was doing that, I was booking a vacation day off. There was no like, yeah, you can just go do it and make up the time or figure it out. But I guess at the other point of it, and probably to the point of this whole webinar, is like I still don't feel like I have balance. Like I don't feel like I'm doing it well. Right. So, yes, I have that opportunity to be able to spend time with my daughter or take her to appointments or take her to her G2 test or do whatever is needed and take the time out of my schedule during the day to spend that time with her. But I still have to come back and finish all the work that I need to do. So I'm still working late or I'm still working on weekends or I'm still doing all the things. So sometimes I don't feel like the balance is very balanced.
I totally get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. Um, Before I hop back in, would anyone else like to share? Or yeah.
I've been. I sorry.
By
I've.
the way, I love the glasses, Diane. I don't think
Oh,
I've seen
thank
them
you.
before. I
It's
really
not.
like them.
I will go behind if I go back further. Um, uh, I I used to work for an accountant firm, a CPA firm, and during this time, during exceptionally from I might say from February till at the end, it was nearly July. It was crazy out there. And it was the time that we have all the nonprofits audit. We had all the the childhood the CPE, Centre de Petite Enfance. Well, these are the kind of kindergarten, uh,
Daycare.
Daycare.
the daycare that, yes, thank you, that are uh, um, founded by the government. So we had all those audits to do, plus the income tax, plus everything. And during this time, twice it happened before I understand. Twice I went on burnout.
Hmm.
Twice.
I have no doubt there's a big reputation out there
Yeah.
among accounting firms to really, drive their people to work that 70, 80-hour work week during the busy time. Well, it's not a busy time. It's like 4 months, 5 months, right? Like from pretty much like what, early February until June 30th. That's what I consider tax season.
Yes.
Well,
From
Exactly.
and
And
T4s,
it was
T5s,
crazy.
T4As, then you get into the T3s, then you get into the early filers, and then personal, and then self-employed, and then corporate.
Yeah.
well, and the one thing that I just wanted to say, like Jonathan, this is one area where I think you have really excelled in. You are a CPA firm. You have been able
So,
to do that with the balance of, that generally the small bookkeeping firms do. And I have so much respect for you in the way you've set it up because there are many other CPA firms out there that are outsourcing the bookkeeping to somebody overseas and not keeping the quality of the bookkeeping. You've been able to do a really good balance. So I commend you for that.
well, thank you very much. And that's actually a really good segue because a big part of what we do at CATA is we encourage that balance. We encourage that freedom. We encourage the concept of work from anywhere. So and we also try to make the regular work schedule 35 hours a week because we know that there's going to be times where it's 44 hours a week. And we really don't want people going over 44 hours a week because that means that we're not doing what we set out to do with our corporate culture. So that's part of the thing that we do is we really try and keep those work hours contained and we encourage people to unplug. One thing I'm always preaching is turn off your notifications. If you're at, your aunt's 80th birthday party, you shouldn't have your phone digging with a customer email that's going to distract you and take you out of that moment. Just turn those notifications off. You can always check your email later. You can always check your chats and your Slacks and whatever other tools you might use later. You do not need that coming up. And I preach this to the team, even working at home during work hours, turn off the notifications. Because when those notifications come up, just it popping up and it taking your attention from what you're doing and looking at that notification, it creates a switching cost. Those switching costs can be very, very expensive. They can take a lot of time for you to get back focused on what you're doing. So just by turning that notification off, you automatically become more efficient. In addition, if you see those notifications, particularly if it's that client, everybody knows what I'm talking about with that client, it's going to be on your mind and it's going to distract you from, whatever you're working on at the moment. So Sarah, you mentioned that it's easier said than done. What specifically is easier said than done?
I don't know. For me, sometimes it's like I'm afraid I'm gonna miss something. Um,
FOMO.
yeah, and I know that everything can wait. Nothing is an emergency. But there's still that thing at the back, like, oh, what if I'm missing something? What if someone needs something right now?
So can I jump in on this?
I just want to say, just
Yeah.
before you jump in there, I mean, I think this is a common trait of the bookkeeping industry is we
Mhm.
got in this because we care and we want to
Right.
be right by our clients. So being able to have and enforce that boundary is very difficult.
Yeah.
Um, but nobody can make that change except for you. Sorry, Tanya.
No, no, no. That's ideal, and that's again a good segue in here. So it did take a mindset change for me, and it just got me getting ticked off because I was not getting any work done. Because as Jonathan said, there is a cost to that. It is 20 minutes. If you're in deep work, 20 minutes you lose by just letting something distract you and going back in. So what we did is we made a change, and I changed this expectation with our clients. It is in our engagement. It is on our website. It is everywhere. We do not answer the phone when we are in deep work. We have clients book on, we have specific days a week. We've got Wednesdays and Thursdays right now. I may change it to Tuesdays and Thursdays for me. There are 2 days a week clients can book, and the other days are set for deep work. Clients know the best way to reach us is through our client portal. They also know, and again, this is coming setting the expectations with the clients, which we had to be okay with at first, obviously. But they also know there are no emergencies in bookkeeping other than payroll or a deadline. And other than payroll, everything else is created by somebody else. So we let them know we work on your file once a week, and unless they pay for a higher premium, we will see the message when it comes in. And if it is not what we determine to be urgent, it will be responded to. So we check twice a day, and it will be responded to on the day we work on their file. That, again, we had to be okay with those boundaries. That is setting in. Some people like it, some people don't. But at the end of the day, we remind them there are no emergencies in bookkeeping. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. If you call somebody and you don't leave a message, is it urgent? Because a lot of people do that. This was just a conversation I had with somebody earlier this week. They said, "Do you call back people that don't leave a message?" And I said, "No, I don't anymore. I used to, but I don't because it wasn't important enough for them to leave a message. Therefore, it's not important enough for me to call back."
Yeah, no, if they don't leave a
So
message, I'm definitely not phoning them back.
exactly. But so if you think about that, try to put that like those things that I just recommended. If you are okay with them, you then communicate them to your clients. We have communicated to them and said, this is part of the way that we are keeping our pricing as low as possible because we can work efficiently this way. If not, it's going to affect the overall profitability, which is going to affect everybody's prices. So here's the balance. And again, if it's urgent, it's only payroll and it's lack of planning, or hey, somebody's payroll didn't go in. That's something that, okay, fine, you need to get on right away. But we're training our clients to do that, to know nothing is an emergency, and it's going well as long as we're open with them and we explain. The minute I explain why, they're like, "Oh, you keep my costs down. I get it." And there are some times where I do have to have conversations with clients and say, "Okay, I'm not talking bookkeeper to client. I'm talking business owner to business owner. What do you do? If you're in the middle of, you're a mechanic and you're changing the oil on somebody's car, do you stop what you're doing and run to the phone and answer? Of course you don't. You got to get yourself cleaned up to answer the phone." So sometimes I do find that it's explaining to the client in their language. But once I let them know this is the way that we can work efficiently as possible, it's all planning. Here's how we do it. Everybody so far has been okay with it. And you know what? If they're not a good fit for us, and I'll fire them.
That's very
So
true.
there's some suggestions anyway. Hopefully they help, Sarah, but you need to be okay with it because the minute that you start letting clients cross that line, what has become an expectation, or sorry, an exception now becomes an expectation, and that's human nature. So you need to keep that line firm, and then they will.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I
Thanks. Yeah.
just a little bit more about the switching costs. So switching out of deep work and like say responding to an email, yeah, that switching costs, I think it was Google measured it was just over 20 minutes to get back into focus and in depth into your work. I also saw a study that was for just the notification popping up, created an 88-second distraction just for seeing a notification. So let's say you have 10 over the course of a day, which we definitely, if you have your notifications on, is probably way higher than that. That's 880 seconds. 300 seconds is 5 minutes. So that's nearly 15 minutes you lost just by getting 10 notifications over the course of the day. It's really good empirical evidence and proof, like support for just being mindful about when you address those things. So this is a really great segue into setting your priorities. So We at CATA, we do a State of the Union every. Um, I hear you, Shannon. I hear you. I don't even have it on vibrate. I just don't even. Not even. No thanks. I'll go and I'll check when I want to check. Deep Work, great suggestion. Yeah. Flow is another great book to help understand how to be effective with work and just be very, very productive. Anyway, back to setting priorities. So we do a State of the Union every year. We start with our mission, vision, and values. Well, we start with thanking everybody for being there, and we reinforce our culture. And we talk about mission, vision, and values. And the very next slide is setting your priorities. And this is done every year because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't help anybody. Number one always has to be you. You have to be your number one priority at all times. Our second priority is each other. It's your team, your family, your close friends, those people who are really part of your community. They need to be very high on your list of priorities. And we do have to be a little bit cautious because there can be teammates or family members or friends who can be extremely needy. And we have to try and coach and enforce our boundaries to help them from being that way. So some of the things that we've done is we've created a lot of written resources. We have now two AI agents within the company that can answer a lot of the FAQ that we get internally or externally. And those things have really helped. But now it's breaking the habits. Instead of asking me the question, when somebody asks me a question, my first response to them is, where have you checked? Where have you already looked? And that's really helping keep things from coming to me all the time and me being the bottleneck. Sarah, I saw that you had a comment there, but I missed it. Um, Thanks.
Sorry, I was responding to someone else. I didn't
Okay,
realize that
no
it
worries.
went to everyone. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. So the third priority we have is the clients, working to identify what they need and give it to them. It is way cheaper and way more effective to expand your involvement with a client than to acquire a new client. When you acquire a new client, you don't know what you're getting. If you have a client you love and you can upsell or you can go deeper on that relationship, it's going to be far better for your company than acquiring a new client that you don't know. So that's where it's like number three on our list. Always pay attention to the scope creep. Always pay attention to your boundaries. Try and provide that peace of mind, but make sure you're not sacrificing your own peace of mind to satisfy somebody else's needs. And then finally is the prospects. And this is probably the hardest place for me. I want to help everybody who comes in the door, but not everybody is a good fit. Quite often, the toughest ones for me to deal with are friends and family because I have a really, really hard time saying no to friends and family. But if you can protect your priorities, it protects your mental health, which will manifest in physical health. If you're overstressed, it will show. If you can do these things, then you can actually create the space to work on your business, to get that white space to do things like create an AI customer service agent or create and develop a workflow that saves hours and hours for your team. So these things could be, I talk about clients mainly, but it could be other things like, hey, can you host a webinar on April 21st? The answer is going to be no, right? I know what's going on in my life. I don't want to be preparing for a webinar in April and then hosting it in the last week of tax season. Forget about it. There could be social opportunities too, right? Like, hey, we're gonna go on vacation. Do you want to come with us? Sometimes you have to say no to those things. Really, I just want to emphasize, take care of yourself.
Well,
Nobody
and
else is.
I just want to add to this just something that happened today, and there's something that I do. I've used AI to help with my mental health. Absolutely. How it's helping me with my mental health is I used to have, and Jonathan's been part of this process, when I get angry, it used to be a drawn out minimum 5 day process. I would blow my lid and then have to bring myself down to be able to then actually respond to the client in something that's professional. And they used to take rent in my brain for 5 days, affect everything that I'm doing. Sandra just this morning was like, okay, before we hop on with this call, this client, you're going to want to read, you're going to blow your top. I hopped on. You know what? Yeah, I was a little ticked off. What I did is I opened my chat GPT. I copied the thing in there and I swore my little brains out to chat GPT. I said, you need to tell this client, that they are, I dropped a lot of F-bombs and whatever. And I just like straightforward into there, whoosh, let it out. And I said, okay, hit enter, and it automatically organized that into something that I could put to the client, put back. All this happened 5 minutes before the client's call. The client got on. I got a little strict with them at first, saying, I'm just going to address these. Boom, it's done. And if this hadn't have come up, I wouldn't have even thought about it again. It's gone. No more 5 days. So if you've not used AI for that, it is amazing. I swear my little face off. I get everything out. It protects it. I copy and paste it. And that's it. And therefore, I don't even really read the emails from the clients anymore if they're that. I scan them and my chat GPT now knows if there's anything of importance, you tell me, because the more I pay attention to the email, the more it's going to tick me off. So just a little tip, try it if you haven't. Works wonders.
Nice, nice. There's actually a lot happening in that realm too, with coaching and even therapy being done by AI agents. I don't, I don't know how convinced I am of these things yet, but they're out there. They're out there.
They are. I have issues with those, but controlled environment. Control the
So,
environment, you're okay.
a quick little like just aside. So, as you can tell, the slides have completely changed. This slide template was created by Gemini. These slides were created by Gemini. It doesn't get everything right. So this is like the kata framework. This is supposed to be the holistic health, the four quadrants of holistic health. So it missed that. I missed it on review. It happens, right? That's part of AI and why you need to have another one. So I learned this a long time ago. I'd be interested to hear people's opinions on it. But this is what you need to be healthy. You need physical health, you need financial health, spiritual health, and emotional health. So physical, it's typical. You need to be rested. You can't burn out. You need to have sufficient nutrition, security of your person and where you are, roof over your head. And you do need some exercise. You do need some physical movement. You cannot have physical health without some degree of physical movement, whether that's taking a walk at lunch, using a standing desk. It's going to be different for everybody. Some people are hardcore going to the gym. That's not me. Right? It's everybody's different. Financial health is really important because it allows you to say no to the wrong things. You don't have to say yes to everybody who comes in the door. You don't need to stress about making the ends meet, about scraping through the month. So I would really encourage you that if anybody feels like their financial health is not where they want it to be, look at your pricing, look at the clients that you're working with and how much they're costing you to service. We did this recently. We had to fire a client. We're offboarding them on Friday. They were costing us $241 a month to service. We were paying to do their bookkeeping. And that was largely due to scope creep and not being provided the correct picture when we first onboarded them. There was a lot that was held back and not disclosed to us that ended up being very problematic. So again, we couldn't fire that client if we had to have that revenue to make payroll. So it's very important to guard your financial health as well and to get rid of those clients who are literally costing you money sometimes. Spiritual, I mean, some people equate this with religious. I do not. I think these are very different things. This is just understanding your purpose, your why. What are your values, and do the people in your life align with those values? All right? Protect your mental state. That's the most important thing, is protecting your own mental state. Again, I don't think spiritual and religion are the same thing, so I just said not religion. For emotional, again, reinforce, guard your mental health. If you have a mental break, you're going to be useless to everybody in your family, all your clients, everyone on your team, everyone in your community until you recover from that. So guarding your mental health is the most important thing you can do. Make sure you have some community and social connection. Working in this remote work environment can be very lonely. I really appreciate Fridays because on Fridays there's a mastermind, and then we have I don't even remember what the 3:30 call is. And I really, when I can, I always like to attend. Sometimes I get pulled into work. I gotta work. That's the way it is. But that really helps me have community and connection. I find that very, very valuable.
Well, and just to say with that, the 3:30 call is beyond the cloud. That is
Yeah.
open to everybody. And that is meant, it is more personal than business. Our mastermind it's a group called, which is more business and personal, still a mixture. If there's no
Yeah.
business to talk, we chat personal. But the other one is personal first and then business. So yes, we absolutely will help support each other business wise. Somebody may have a question, but for the most part, it helps us wind down so that we can easily ease into Friday. So I love that as well.
Great transition into the weekend. It's
It
a
is.
wonderful transition into the weekend. And sometimes, you know what, we just need to rant to somebody who understands, or we just
Absolutely.
need to support somebody else, or maybe, yeah, we have a question, technical question, or
And
a ethics question, or
yeah,
something
and
like that we need
I'll
to
make
bounce off.
I'll find the link and I'll post the link for anybody here. That again, if you want to join, just go ahead and join. It's open to everybody.
Yeah. The last thing I'm going to say about the emotional is it allows you, having these four quadrants satisfied allows you to be resilient. It allows you to adapt. It allows you to have a stressor enter your life, create a distraction, create a problem, but you'll recover from it quicker if you have these things. So, where are we losing equilibrium? Internal is the number one thing. Being a perfectionist, being a pleaser, not enforcing or worse, not having any boundaries, always being on, the desire to be liked, or guilt, shame, or other self-imposed emotions, right? Like I totally get what Sarah's saying. Like, what if that client really, really needed something? Well, you know what? If they really, really needed something, they would have called the phone number, left a voicemail. That would have given me a notification, and I could call them back, right? And there are no accounting emergencies. There's a failure to prepare, or a failure to plan. That is it.
Well,
Even like with payroll, if you're on a rush to get a payroll done, why? It's because you weren't given the information you need to do your job. What were you going to say, Tanya?
exactly. And I'm just going to add into that if we look at who our ideal clients are, if somebody needs something rushed because they procrastinated looking for a bookkeeper, that is very likely going to set the tone of the whole relationship. If they're already late, first off, if they've got 2 days to file, are you going to get their cleanup done and filed? No. So why are you prioritizing it for them when they didn't 6 months ago? They're still going to hit the penalties. They're still going to hit whatever.
They're
And
probably going to want a discount too.
exactly, exactly. So think like if you're tempted to answer the phone or call them back, think, is that an ideal client? Or maybe you can call them back on Monday and, or whatever, and just say, you know what? That it's again lack of planning. I'm happy to help you. And let's try to get this so that you're not doing it in future. But 9 times out of 10, it's very difficult to get those habits to change, and they're constantly going to be like that. So, do you really want to take on somebody who is constantly going to be throwing chaos into your life?
Great, great point. Great point. All right. So the other side, of course, is the external. That could be organizational culture. The firm that you used to work at, Diane, sounds like exactly that. Could be client demands. That sounds like something that Sarah's going through to a degree. Could be digital tethering and being connected on your phone all the time. I get accused of that all the time, and I really laugh at people because they project what they choose to see. They know that I'm very tech leveraged, and yes, I can pretty much do most of my job from my phone if I really, really wanted to, but I'm not always on the phone. Hell no. I have better things to do than increasing costs can put that pressure, financial pressure that now you have to say yes when you would normally say no. Increasing uncertainty, we're not going through that at all right now. But that's definitely something that's affecting all our mental health, whether or not we want to admit it or not. Economic drivers also impacting our mental health. And then, of course, social and family demands. So I alluded to this earlier, but I want to kind of address it more pointedly. You have to be aware of a couple different kinds of individuals that could be in in your community. The one is the anchor. That's the person who does not want to see you succeed because they don't want you to leave them behind. And they're going to do things that they can to sabotage you. It won't seem like that at the time, but that is what's happening. It's not even intentional, it's a defense mechanism, but that can happen. The other is the super needy who cannot be self-sufficient. And it's not that they can't be, it's that they have not built up those skills within themselves. And sometimes you have to guard yourself from those kind of people. Just a quick thing. When my brother calls, unless I can really talk to him, I do not answer the phone because I know it's just a quick question that's going to be 20 to 30 minutes. Or it could have nothing to do with anything work related, his work or my work, right? So it's just like you have to understand and understand the people you're dealing with and those boundaries and make sure you enforce them. So some practical strategies, the power of no. It is the most important thing you can do to guard your mental health. What you accept is what you will get. So if you answer the phone within one ring every time a client calls, they're going to always do that. If you can start changing that habit to, hey, you know what? Check out our blog post, ask our AI customer service agent, something like that. Those can really, really help shift those things off of your plate and out of your head. Most importantly, out of your head. Micro moments, recognizing that not every day will be balanced. Achieving balance is an aspiration, it's not a state of being. It's like perfection. Everybody wants to be perfect, but perfection is an aspiration, not a reality. I like that. The first no is the hardest. Good call. Good call. Um, yeah, I agree with you, Sherry. Why are you answering the phone if you can't talk? Find ways to satisfy your needs in the small moments. You don't necessarily need a big vacation. I know for me, I need to decompress at the end of the day. If I work until 11 and I try to go to bed, I'm not going to sleep. It's not going to happen. I need to, I don't know, veg out, do some cooking, prep food for the next day, watch some TV, something to get my mind off of it. Read a book, something along those lines. Saving it all up and just allowing that stress for a big vacation, that's a recipe for burnout and for a disaster. Communication, I really should, along with our particular firm's values, I should really put this one first. Set expectations for your clients, your team, your friends, and your family. Arm them with ways to self-serve. I mean, we don't like it, right? I mean, who really likes going to the QuickBooks community and looking up an answer? But having that opportunity there can really help. And by the way, the AI can see that community and can really filter through a lot of that stuff if you need an answer quickly. But setting those expectations and arming your community to help themselves is really, really important. I'm just gonna have a quick look at the comments. Yeah. Yeah. So the only time I will answer the phone and I can't speak is if it's being like somebody's called back twice. If they called and I didn't answer and then they called back right away, I'll answer. I'll be like, what's the emergency? Oh, there's no emergency. It's like, all right, cool. Send me an email. I'm not, I only answered because you called back twice. Right. So, all right. So in summary, this is just a reiteration of the agenda. We are defining balance, personal perspective. It's different for everybody. Setting priorities, very important. Take care of yourself first. You are the most important thing in your life. The quadrants of holistic health, that's really where the balance, I think, is found. We've talked about some scenarios and some strategies, and now we're here. Now, Tanya, I understand you have done a different poll question from this one.
Oh, I fixed it.
Oh,
I
you
found
fixed it.
time to fix
All
it.
right.
So we went with
So here's
yours.
where we get our CPD. If you had an extra 5 hours of found time next week, where would you invest it for the highest ROI on your happiness? A, physical health, sleep, go to the gym, go on a hike, meal prep. You can really tell I did this answer. These are things that, I don't go to the gym, but yeah. Spiritual health or personal growth, volunteer, meditate, work on your hobbies. Social or emotional, spending time with friends and or family, people in your community. Financial or career, do your own personal bookkeeping, learn a new skill, take a course, or take on a side project. Um, so yeah, I'm just curious to see what everybody has to say. It's interesting because I want to answer all four of these.
I would, if it's summer, I go into my pool.
Yeah, fair.
There's nothing better
That's
for
very
me.
physical
It's
and spiritual.
Well, it is because it's a quiet backyard. There's nobody around. We're in a quiet neighborhood. So I can go out there. I go in the pool and I exercise, for 30 to 60 minutes, whatever. I build myself up to 60. Then I get out and then I spend an hour. So this is where I'm working later into the evening in the summer, but I'm getting, advantage. So then I just lie there, dry off, get the vitamin D, have a little bit of a nap, because it's so peaceful to hear the pump of the water going through and the birds and everything, that 2 hours is completely and totally refreshing for me mentally.
That's amazing. For me, it's like, especially in May, getting out in the boat, getting on the water, and just that little puttering sound and just the calmness of the lake and the sun on your back and your face. And, I mean, for me, fishing is more about the act of fishing rather than the catching. And hey, it's called fishing, not catching, right?
Right? Exactly. Exactly. All right. So we'll do a quick countdown. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and end the poll and share the results.
Yeah. It's pretty even spread. I figured it would be fairly split up. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I wanted to just talk about my own hypocrisy a little bit. So I feel lately I have felt that I have not been in balance. But when I step back and I look at it objectively, I probably am doing better than I think I am. I mean, we're in tax season. The most I've worked in the like since February, since the beginning of February. Well, I was on pat leave for a while, so I didn't come back till February 17th. But since then, the most I've worked in a week was 44 hours, not quite 44 hours, which for this time of year, I think is pretty good. And for the CPA leading the firm, I think that's pretty good. I have switched my work schedule. I'm working in the evenings, which I typically don't like to do because of that need to decompress afterwards. It kind of eats into that time. So what I'm doing is, I gotta do the morning routine with the toddler, get him to daycare, kick off work at 9, work till 4. That's 7 hours. Go back, get him, come back, do the whole evening routine, dinner, bath, that kind of stuff, get him to bed, get some food on the table for Julia and I. And then you know what? I'll go back to work from 7:30 till about, somewhere between 9 and 10. But I'm not going to work beyond 10 p.m. because then it's going to affect my ability to sleep. It doesn't matter how urgent it is. I'm throwing in the towel. Sorry, too bad. So sad. Yeah, some days it does mean sitting in bed and watching movies all day. I miss those days. I haven't had one of those in a long
Right.
time. I really would like to do that on May the 4th this year, but I don't think that's going to happen.
So you gotta wait till the kids are older to be able to do that again, right? So
Fair, fair. Yeah, we try not to have too much screen time on for the boy. So yeah, so you cannot pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's the most productive thing you can do for your work, your family, and yourself.
yeah. And I just want to add to that. I used to have a different mindset because I didn't understand. I used to think, they always say, put your own oxygen mask on first. And I always used to sit there and say, well, when the airplane drops, if it does drop down, why would I do that? Why would I not want to help other people? That was just my natural way to look at it until somebody said it to me for me to realize it and look at it a different way. If I'm not getting oxygen and I pass out, I can't help anybody else.
It's like what if you've ever has anybody done like a water rescue course? They teach that if you're in a situation where there's waves and you're rescuing somebody, you put them between you and whatever rock or pier or whatever you're going to hit. Because if
Hmm.
you get knocked out, you'll both die.
That
But
makes
if they,
sense, but it's natural that you want to
yeah,
protect the other person, but you can't protect them if you're not protecting yourself. That makes sense.
every year there's a tragedy, usually quite often involving the ice, where somebody did not do what they should have done, and two people die instead of one. I hear
Wow.
about it every year. This past year was a father trying to rescue his daughter who'd fallen through the ice on a creek or like a river or something. Just for general purposes, flowing water, the ice is not doesn't freeze very well. Don't walk over flowing water if it's frozen. It's just a bad idea. But yeah, that was a tragic one that I heard about. And the reason it happened was because he went right in after her. whereas he should have taken a different approach and gone downstream and tried to help fish her out somehow else. But he went in, he got knocked out, and they both drowned. So anyway, that was a very, very depressing way to end. But thanks for attending today. We're on socials. Here's our main socials. And yeah, if you want to check us out, here's a QR code that can do it. So anything that anybody wants to talk about or share with regards to their lives and their balance. Is there anything that somebody would like to do to improve their life?
Retire.
That's what I want to be when I grow.
Right?
That's what I want to be when I grow.
Well, I don't
Honestly,
know if I ever
you're
will be
never
able
going
to
to
fully
retire.
retire.
You're just going to
Oh
find
my
something else
gosh.
to do.
Well, I would love to work from remote in the South
Right?
America. I
Let's
would
face it,
Well,
love to do that.
even when it's retirement, will I actually be able to retire? No, I'll probably still
Well,
be doing
it
something.
depends on what retirement's going to look like for you. Because, like, for me,
Right?
retirement, it just means I'm going to have more time to go to the gallery and create and do writing and be in
Right.
other groups. And
Retirement for me, I'll still probably be working part-time, but I'll be doing
yeah.
what I want to be doing from where I want to be doing it, right?
But also, too, I like the idea of we have wisdom and it would be nice to impart that in a way as well, right?
Yeah.
So I don't
absolutely.
think I'll completely retire, but it'll just look different, right?
Yeah.
You know, I have another friend of mine. She is recently she was pushed out of her company, and she was at a very senior level, and she financially she's very secure, and she's trying to figure out what to do next. And we were talking about this, and my suggestion to her was to volunteer, to find an organization that would appreciate your talent and your skill, and volunteer with them for a little while. And just get exposure to different things to figure out what you want to do next in your career. Because I know she does not want to go back to a similar type of environment that she was pushed out of. So, something to consider. And speaking of that, working from the South, we do know bookkeepers who might, like, I don't know, work from Texas for 5 months a year or
Bonnie,
Panama or,
Sarah,
different
yeah.
places like that, right? So the
This
possibility is
summer I'll be
there.
working from Toronto because I plan to go for another trip to Toronto.
Where you, like, are you coming for Get Connected?
No, just to
Oh,
see
okay.
Tanya in the summer.
Oh,
Yay!
nice.
I didn't know you were actually going to do
Oh,
it.
I'm working towards it. It's a goal.
Yay!
That's
Yay!
awesome.
I just want to swim in her pool.
Swim in the pool, go out on the boat. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Keep
forgot
us
about
posted. We'll have to find a road trip.
that.
Yep. Totally. Just as we're at the end, I just want to throw out too that I am starting. So if anybody's interested, just reach out to me directly and I can send you the links. I'm revitalizing, I guess, the Beyond the Cloud podcast. And so I am looking for people to interview. What this is going to be is it's first off, it's going to be a clip that you guys can then use to promote yourselves to your clients. It is going to be around what we do that is different. Part of my, I guess, push with AI is we need to educate people why what we do as bookkeepers is so important. So I said to Jonathan, like, yep, even though he's not a, he's a bookkeeper and an accountant, but I love the way that they do it, that they do things and they have a good balance. And I am looking for people who do other things that are more important to highlight why it is so important to work with a small boutique bookkeeping firm, and then you'll get clips afterwards to be able to again use to promote yourself as well. But if anybody's interested, it's just going to be a conversation. Reach out. I've literally just started it. I've got um, one person there, but so far registered, and I just posted this week. So absolutely, again, reach out, let me know, and it's to help elevate our industry. The more people that see it, the more people that are going to consumers, small business owners are going to realize we are not replaceable during this AI uptake.
Well, it's funny. I shared with Tanya just over a private chat. I found this company, and
Oh,
their slogan on the front page is "Never hire a bookkeeper again."
yeah.
I'm hearing that a lot, actually. I'm getting a lot of, and this presentation is excellent because I realize I really need to work on boundaries with clients. Like I've slowly been coming to that realization, but It's driving me crazy. I have lots of family stuff happening right now, and I need the flexibility. And I've realized I've kind of done this to myself because I've been too available.
Have
So,
We
Carla.
Well, and
care.
that's it.
That's
What
our
is an
biggest weakness.
exception? What is an exception becomes an expectation. But you know
yeah.
what? They won't be offended if you come back and you say you're changing the way things are done internally, especially when I've said to them, this is the way to keep your price as low as possible. If not, I have to work all this into the pricing. So this is the way that we can work efficiently on your file. And nobody's had an issue
Very
with
well.
it.
Very
I
well.
I had
guess,
the
yeah.
issue with it. They didn't.
Yeah, it's also it's partially me letting go of the QuickBooks and the files because I know they're gonna screw it up, and it's just like, oh God, like,
Yep.
can you just not touch is what I want to say, and is what I have been saying.
Mhm.
Yep.
But they need to, oh my God. Anyhow, this guy they've hired, anyhow.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
And
he's now kind of like, how do I do this report? How do I do this? I need this. I need this. And I'm like, holy shit, like,
he's no longer your client, right?
no, he's still my
Oh,
client,
oh,
yeah.
okay.
But I think it's me formalizing like what's bookkeeping and what's not. And so I started doing all this stuff. They've now hired someone. He is pro software everything, replacing bookkeepers. And so I'm like, I'm hearing this a lot from a lot of people, and
You know
you
what?
know,
Marketing is a powerful and dangerous tool. Marketing is
yeah.
all about manipulating somebody into an emotional sale. And if they
Yeah.
can save cost and never have to answer a question from a bookkeeper again, oh heck, that's really attractive. I can abdicate all responsibility for the financial side of my business. That's really attractive, but it's not reality.
No, and it does, and it
And
goes
there's
to
going to be some
the same
hard
thing with
lessons.
a client last year who I told him about something that needed to be done. And he comes, well, no, I think the way it is correct. And I said, well, no, you can only do this part. And he goes, well, I checked with ChatGPT and this is what they said. And he sent me the listing of it, which was what he sent was correct, but he asked the wrong question. So
Right.
I said yes, and it was to do with the exercising with getting using a like a personal trainer. I said, which is great. And yes, if it's for all the people, yes. However, it has to be a part of people who are on payroll, and you're not on payroll. You take dividends only. Therefore, moot point. It's not an expense.
Yeah. Another
Oh,
thing that we find that's going to be interesting is people who are shopping for the answer they want to hear instead of "Take care, sir. Nice to speak with you today." Like, we had a client we got fired years ago because she'd done very well and she decided she was going to be a digital nomad and was going to go live in Southeast Asia for like as her home base and just travel like pretty much year round and she could afford to and whatnot. And I was like, okay, just understand that your corporation is no longer going to be subject to this low tax rate because you're going to become a non-resident of the country. Well, she didn't like that answer, so she fired us. And guess what? She found somebody because she didn't remove us. She found somebody who would do that and would just violate that. So once she gets caught, she's going to have a really big tax bill, and it's not going to be our problem. It's not going to be our.
I said I was at an event and I said to somebody, how did I word it? I go, um, because he's like, oh, do people like I said, oh, I do, I have a doing bookkeeping business or whatever, and then I just said, I don't know if he asked me or I just said, I go, oh, maybe he said, how's it going? And I go, people don't realize how much they need a bookkeeper till they need a loan or they're being audited.
Yeah.
And it was actually this catchphrase, and it was like a light went off, and he's like, right, of course, and like that's the thing, like it is. I mean, yeah, sure. If you don't need to, if your bookkeeping, you don't think your bookkeeping needs to be compliant, then until you need it to be compliant, and then you're in a panic trying to find somebody to help you, and then you want to pay less money. It's like, no.
That's when you need to charge more. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
I had to have a conversation with a kid. I'm going to call him a kid because he's a kid. He's been on our radar, and we've done his personal taxes in the past. He started a corp with one of our other clients, and they've been very successful to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars of capital dividends. Well done, boys. Very well done. He had no books and records. None. He's like, yeah, I'll give you access to my QBO. I went in and I looked. All he had done is connect all his bank accounts and credit cards, all the personal ones, all the business ones, everything. He had not processed a single transaction. And it's a really good thing because it would have been a much bigger mess to clean up if he had. And he's like, so I need to know if I have any losses for the last 2 years so that we can like do a management bonus from the subsidiary up to here to eat up those losses. And it's like, when do you need this by? He's like, I need it today. I was like, yeah, not happening, man. Like, good luck with that. And we had to have this conversation and like set that expectation of like, this is going to take at least a few weeks. You're coming to us in March, right ahead of personal tax season. That's going to push it out even further. You're going to be lucky to have this answer by mid-May.
Yeah.
And then we took a quick look and did an estimate. It's like, you're not going to have any losses anyway. So, and yeah, so those are fun ones. It's like, I need this yesterday. It's like, well, then you should have thought about it a year ago.
Yeah.
Or like when we were talking about it 2 years ago. Anyway. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you very much, everybody. Tanya, I did have a quick question if you don't mind staying on for a minute.
Sure, absolutely. All right.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
Take
you.
care,
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Bye.
Stop the recording.
Thanks for coming.